All right, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all the honor, the praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Hakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered abroad. All right, this is the brother Barbazal here with a lesson, and Lord willing, it's edifying. All right, so the title of this lesson will be, the days, of Esau's kingdom is numbered, or something along those lines. And we can clearly see that, we're in very heavy times. Obviously we're in the end, the end of the end. And, how things are looking, of course, we know that, the fall of this man's kingdom can happen any day. Right. But the main focus I wanted to get into this video is, this is all in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is doing. Okay. Setting this man up, being the wicked, and ultimately, setting up his downfall, because we understand, even though, Esau's the wicked and he's in rulership. All right. It's only, so far he can go, within his reign, right? Because that's how Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua set it up. All right, that's how Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, is going to show his power, by ultimately, coming down, and destroying this place, putting this man down and saving his elect. All right, and establishing, that righteous kingdom. Okay. So this is the book of Job 14:5. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Yeah, and we know that his ultimate goal is to get everybody C-hipped. All right, which we know that the MOTB, being the RFID C-hip, is what is Esau's main goal, right? More specifically, getting everybody chipped. Okay, so he can sit, in the seat as he's the Most High, right? Because now that he's, pretty much is ruling, he got all the power, money, the resources, right? The only thing left for this devil to do is to pose, as he is the Most High, right? Which he's been trying to do it, for the past, couple hundred years. Started with the Renaissance period, with the term called iconoclasm, right? Painting over the images unto, the likeness of an Edomite, being, having pictures with people that lack pigmentation. Okay. Painting over the judges thereof, which you can get that real quick. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, the Edomites. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, if not where and who is he? You see? So it's clear as day that, this man is the Edomite. All right. It's not a Japhite. All right. The Esau is not done away with. Okay. Because the scriptures go into, Esau, being the end of the world, which we can get there real quick. All right, this is the book of 2nd Ezra 6 and 8, or actually 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the pardon asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that's how the Lord set it up. Okay? Ever since the beginning, Jacob's name, meaning to supplant. All right? So Jacob was always meant to get the birthright and the blessing. Okay? Esau was always meant to be the wicked. All right? In that same spirit, from the garden, started with the serpent, going down to Cain. And then eventually, going down to Esau, and today as we know him, the Edomites, you see. So the Lord has set up a wicked and the Lord has set up a righteous. All right. And we also understand that this man is in rulership, primarily because, we as the Israelites went off. All right. This is a punishment. We in this captivity. All right. And the Lord, he set up the Edomites, the wicked, to rule over us. Okay. But here we are in the last days, we waking up to, to who we truly are, which we know that we the Lord's people. All right. And with that knowledge comes having faith in the Lord, comes with, doing what's pleasing to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, right? Ultimately coming back unto him, because we understand that, without Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, it wouldn't, it would be no possible way for us to, come back on top, right? So we know we need that divine intervention, right? In order for us to, get back to where we truly belong, right? Which is on the throne and establish, righteousness. All right. But it all starts with, waking up to the truth. Okay. And applying that truth how it's supposed to be applied. All right. And only the elect is going to understand that. Okay. So this is the book of Job 5:12. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. You see? So, Esau, he's only going to get so far, right? Like the scriptures also say in the book of Job as well, he's pretty much going to have it rain. It's going to rain on him, when he's feeding his belly, roughly paraphrasing, right? So as this man is, feels like he's about to have his way, the Lord's about to come in and destroy all of that. All right. So let's read that again. Job 5:12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. All right. And, Esau's full goal, right? The N to the W to the O, right? He'll only go so far, right? So let's get Luke 10:18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. You see? And this isn't going into the spiritual demon Satan, was fighting in heaven and was kicked out or anything. No, that's not what it's going into. It's going into, this man's kingdom going down, how quickly, it's going to fall, because this is a light thing, for the Lord to come and, destroy this kingdom. Right. And the Lord is using, this man's own sword to do that. Through the, the Russians, right? It's going to be World War III, led by, of course, the Russians and, other nations as well. All right. And, they're going to send missiles upon this place, and this place is going to be destroyed. All right. And the Lord, and that's all designed by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You can read that in Isaiah the 13th chapter, right? Ezekiel the 38th chapter, right? Where it goes into this. All right. And we can get just to prove that point, because Satan falling as lightning. All right. Us going into the downfall of this kingdom. You can also get Isaiah 14, because that's also, confused. Isaiah 14:12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, right? So what does this mean? How art thou fallen from heaven, right? Heaven, not meaning the kingdom of heaven. No, it's meaning he's in a lofty position, So Isaiah 14:12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? This is going into the so-called Illuminati, right? Or the ruling class of the Edomites. Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? You see? And when you get that word Lucifer, all it means is light bearer. All right, it's not another name, for the spiritual demon Satan. Okay, bearer of light, light bearer, and that's what the Illuminati calls themselves, the enlightened ones. You see, and this is the only time that the word Lucifer pops up in the Bible when you look it up. We could look it up. You see? But that's pretty much the point, Lord, when it was edifying. So with that, I'd like to give all the honor, the praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rachakodash.